Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are digging into a seriously fascinating piece of source material. It's an ancient Buddhist parable, and let me tell you, it completely shatters how we typically think about luck, destiny, and success. If you've ever felt like the universe is just literally out to get you, stick around because this analysis is going to totally flip your perspective. So let me ask you a question, and I want you to be really honest with yourself here. Do you ever feel like your failures are just a run of incredibly bad luck, while everyone else around you just seems to succeed effortlessly? You know, we all have those moments, right? Where we think we're doing everything absolutely perfectly, but we still come up short. And man, it is so incredibly easy to just point the finger at destiny. Well, our source material today tackles this exact human tendency right head on. To set this up, the text introduces us to a protagonist who, honestly, is highly relatable. He's a deeply, deeply frustrated farmer. He goes right up to Mahatma Buddha with this massive complaint. He says, "Look, I've done everything. I did all the religious rituals, all the prayers. I followed every piece of advice from every sage in town, but my crops are still failing. Meanwhile, my neighbors, who definitely do not work as hard as I do, are absolutely thriving." He is 100% convinced that he's just cursed with terrible luck. Which brings us to section 1, the illusion of luck. Okay, so let's dive into this and look at how the farmer's perception of reality is just completely warped by this victim mindset. It's a psychological trap that, let's be real, is so easy for any of us to fall into. What's really interesting here is this stark contrast in perspectives. The farmer views himself as fundamentally cursed, right? Like anything he touches is just going to turn to dust. But Buddha immediately shatters this illusion with just basic factual observation. He points out the objective reality. He says, "Look at you. You have a healthy body, a sharp mind, and a plot of highly fertile land." Buddha essentially tells him you already hold the ultimate lottery ticket. The dissonance here is just wild. The farmer has literally every tool for success, but is completely blinded by his own narrative of misfortune. But of course, the farmer doesn't want to hear about his own capabilities. Oh no. He replies by asking for what so many of us secretly want. He asks, "Is there any magic mantra to make my luck shine again?" He is desperately looking for a shortcut. He wants a life hack to bypass all the actual grueling hard work of farming. He wants the reward, but zero sweat. Moving right along to section 2, the hidden treasure. So this right here is the psychological turning point of the story. And honestly, it's a total masterclass in human behavior. Buddha realizes that preaching about hard work to a guy looking for a shortcut, yeah, that's going to go nowhere. So he uses an irresistible bait. Instead of giving a boring lecture, Buddha creates an open loop. He tells the farmer, super matter-of-factly, that there is a literal, physical treasure buried deep beneath the soil of his very own land. But there's a catch. Buddha says the farmer has to follow his specific instructions to the letter to unearth it. And the farmer, totally blinded by greed and the promise of a quick fix, just instantly agrees. No questions asked. All right, section 3, the steps to success. Now, getting to this treasure isn't exactly a walk in the park. Buddha outlines this meticulous step-by-step process. First, he tells the farmer to bring back just one basket of soil. Then, he commands him to go plow the entire field. Next, he has to sow seeds immediately. And finally, he must nurture the crops day and night. It's literally a sequence of escalating labor completely disguised as a treasure map. And this brilliantly illustrates human nature. The source text notes that the farmer actually tries to cut corners right out of the gate. He digs up just one single basket of dirt, brings it to Buddha, and demands to know the exact X marks the spot of the treasure. He's impatient, he's kind of lazy, and he's doing everything humanly possible to avoid honest labor. But Buddha doesn't let him off the hook. He forces the guy to go back and plow the whole entire field if he ever wants to see a single ounce of gold. So once the field is finally plowed, guess what? The farmer complains again. He doesn't want to buy seeds right now because they're expensive. He wants to wait around for a cheaper season. But Buddha counters with this incredibly powerful truth. Every task has a proper time. Right action at the right time yields the best fruit. Buddha is teaching him that delayed action ruins the outcome. Waiting for that perfect cheap moment, that's just procrastination dressed up as strategy. He forces the farmer to pull the trigger and invest in those seeds immediately. So, driven entirely by these wild dreams of unimaginable wealth, the farmer finally gets to work. He meticulously plows the earth, sows the seeds, and protects his field day and night from pests and disease.
What's so fascinating here is that the sheer anticipation of this treasure has completely tricked the farmer into executing the absolute perfect agricultural routine. He's finally doing all the hard work he was actively avoiding, all without even realizing he's literally just farming.
And that brings us to section 4, the real harvest. Fast forward through months of this grueling, dedicated work, and let's look at the result. His labor yields this flourishing, golden crop. It's actually the most abundant harvest in the entire village. Suddenly, this farmer who thought he was so fundamentally cursed is the envy of absolutely everyone. This massive yield brings him immense praise, and more importantly, it makes him enough money to clear every single one of his financial debts. It's an amazing outcome, right? But wait, let's address the massive elephant in the room here. Where is the actual buried treasure? Despite the amazing harvest and all the wealth it just brought him, the source text tells us the farmer still runs right back to Buddha, looking for that literal, physical chest of gold he was promised. And here is Buddha's absolute mic drop moment. He tells him, "Your body is the real treasure." Buddha reveals that there was never a chest of gold in the dirt. The real treasure was the physical capability, the mental focus, and the relentless effort the farmer poured into his own land. He literally had the treasure all along. He just refused to use it because he was way too busy blaming his bad luck. All right, let's wrap this up with section 5, creating your own luck. So let's extract the core philosophical meaning from this source material and see how we can actually apply it to how we operate today. The absolute crucial point here is Buddha's definition of luck, which is intimately tied to karma. And listen, karma isn't some mystical, invisible cosmic scale. It is simply your own good actions and your consistent efforts. What we passively call destiny or luck is actually just the compounded result of our own deliberate actions. It's the energy we generate to reach our goals. Bringing this into our modern lives, the takeaways are crystal clear. First off, stop blaming circumstances. Blaming luck is just a really convenient excuse to avoid answering for our own lack of effort. We need to evaluate our daily actions honestly. Are we actually putting in the work, or are we just scrolling around looking for magic mantras? Furthermore, we have to execute at the right time. No more waiting for the perfect conditions because they don't exist. And finally, stop looking for shortcuts. The effort is the requirement. This brilliantly illustrates 2 totally different ways to live your life. Blaming luck keeps you passive, making excuses, and giving up the second things get hard. But trusting in your karma, trusting in your actions, that makes you active. You take full responsibility and you become highly resilient. Successful people trust in their continued effort even when they hit those temporary speed bumps, because they know, for a fact, that the harvest only comes after the work. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own goals, your own life, right now, and ask yourself honestly, are you just sitting around waiting for luck to strike, or are you actively plowing your field? The treasure is already yours. You just have to do the digging. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer today, and hey, I challenge you to start plowing your field right now.